This morning, we're going to talk about accounting. More precisely, where does God's truth reside in both the mind and the vocation of an accountant? And studying up on accountancy over the past month or so, I have found a new respect and admiration for the trade. If you think about it, accountants hold our financial world together. Without them, capitalism would not function. All that's good and right and true in a capitalistic world would not work without accountants. They are the masters of fine print and experts on the smallest tax code detail. They quantify fiscal reality, and they keep us honest in the face of temptation. They provide perspective and guide us through difficult economic shoals. Accountants keep us balanced, afloat, and on course. They bring order to multinational corporations. They steady countries. In Ireland, they are steadying a country this very week. They provide expertise to mom and pop businesses, and they probably, in some way, help you and I grow and protect our nest eggs. And now accountants, most certainly, they do have a different way of viewing things, and they speak a different language. Theirs is a world of spreadsheets and balance sheets and year-end reports. They speak the language of assets and equity and capital cost allowances. And I'm sure we all sense, if we're not numbers-type people, that they are definitely a different breed. I read this week Alain de Botton has a new book out on work in which he has a chapter dealing with accountancy, as they call it in the UK. And while talking to a few accountants in order to prepare that chapter in his book, he writes this, or he noted this. The accountants, he says, ask me not how or why one writes a book, but whether tax on a title is payable across a few years or must be wholly paid at the moment of publication. They are like renal surgeons for whom one is first and foremost always a kidney. Now, we laugh at the stereotype, probably because we are kind of afraid of numbers and accountants. But I don't think the stereotype is entirely fair. And even de Botton, who I love his writing, he was kind of slamming accountants and somehow diminishing the gift that they are to us. I've learned there's a lot more to what they do than just bean counting. And so I interviewed 3 accountants over the past month or so from various places, and I'm going to share with you the account of those 3 dialogues to varying degrees. And I found, in reading their responses to questions I sent to them, something beautiful in terms of exposing God's face to me that I didn't think would be there in the world of accounting. So, first accountant is a guy named Ralph Fylstra, and he's a CPA in New Jersey, has his own company, and I met him at a meeting down in the States a month or so ago, and so I sent him a whole series of questions about where he finds God in accounting and God's truth in accounting, and the first thing he wrote back to me was this. One aspect of my job deals with auditing. My specialty is auditing not-for-profit entities. The job of auditing exists because of humanity's total depravity. Society does not trust people to honestly report financial information. People who know they are going to be audited tend to be more honest. As an accountant, I'm acting as an agent of truth in financial reporting. In this case, the auditor is exposing, quote, the light, God, in what is seen as, quote, the darkness, sin. Although I am looking for fraud in auditing and financial dishonesty, all of my clients expect me to present their organizations correctly and honestly. They want their financials to be true and correct. They strive for truth. When I read those words, that one line in the middle of that answer struck me profoundly. About people being more honest if they know they're going to be audited. And as I read those exact words, all of these Bible verses started running through my head. A couple of them were these. Nothing in all creation is hidden from God's sight. Everything is uncovered. and laid bare before the eyes of him to whom we must give an account. And Jesus said, "But I tell you that people will have to give account on the day of judgment for every empty word they have spoken." And then Job in the Old Testament. "Does he not see my ways and count my every step? If I have walked with falsehood or my foot has hurried after deceit, let God weigh me in honest scales." There will be an accounting. And I think, like all of Ralph's clients, we want our books to be true and right and to give an honest account of who we are.